we hear a lot of talk about imposter syndrome. And for those who are with us today, can you just give us kind of the basic definition of what imposter syndrome is?
Yeah. I would say the most basic definition is really doubting your abilities to a point where you feel like a fraud, where you feel like you are not as competent as other people might think you are. And it is, I see this with even the most senior level, amazing professionals. This self-doubt, I think it's a very human thing, but that's how I would define it on a really basic level.
That's great. So if you identify that you are suffering from imposter syndrome, what are some ways to curtail that?
Yes. A few ways that imposter syndrome can surface would be something like perhaps you are invited for a promotion, to apply for a promotion, and you just don't feel like you're ready, or you're invited into a meeting where it's at a higher level than you're used to, and do I really belong at this conference room table? Or you've won a seat as a candidate for, when you're interviewing for a position that might be a little bit more senior, or you're asked to speak or present, as an expert, or be on a stage. And these are situations where people find themselves experiencing that feeling of imposter syndrome. And in the context of career, and people who are in job search mode, or they are interviewing for a position maybe that, they may or may not be the best candidate. Especially if they've been out of work for a while, their confidence can really be shaken. And so what I want to say, if anyone who's watching who's in that situation, where maybe you were laid off and you've been out of work for a while, that you did not check your skills and knowledge and experience at the door when that company decided to make the business decision to lay you off. You are just as qualified, just as knowledgeable, just as skilled as you were 6 months ago, 12 months ago, when you were, when you were fully employed. But that can really rattle a person's confidence the longer time goes. So just remember that. You didn't check your skills and experience at the door. Another thing is, if you are asked to present or be a speaker or something like that, you feel like, oh, these other people are so much more qualified. Just remember, first of all, if you're stepping up and into the arena and you know just this much more, or even maybe not, maybe you just have a different perspective to share, or one or two pieces of information your audience may not have heard, you have a lot more to offer than that quote unquote more competent person who's not stepping into the arena, who's sitting back and who's in more of that position where, no, I'm good. So if you're out there, if you're putting yourself out there and you are taking advantage of these opportunities, you are offering way more, even if you're perceiving yourself as less competent than the person who's decided to sit back. The last thing that I would say is just creating a mantra for yourself. If you're experiencing any of those situations where imposter syndrome can bubble to the surface, just create a mantra for yourself about, I am really well qualified. I'm good at what I do. I have a lot to offer this audience, this potential employer, on this project at my company. And, I'm going to make a great contribution here. And just have that running on a loop in your mind to build yourself up.